So a couple months ago, Polar Pro came out with this guy here. This is the Polar Pro base camp, and it was everywhere on YouTube. I think every prominent filmmaking YouTuber did a video on this, but as quickly as all those videos came out, there was no other coverage on this device. And so now that it has been out for a little while and I have my hands on it, I want to actually go ahead and review this from someone's perspective who didn't get it for free. What's good, creative fan? Brandon Washington here, and in today's video we're going to be reviewing the Polar Pro Basecamp. Now this thing is a matte box that was designed and created by Polar Pro, but primarily to use their Polar Pro filters. Now when you look at this thing, it looks amazing, and quite honestly I absolutely love it. I love what it does and what it does well. There are some other things that it doesn't do so well, but we'll get to that a little bit later. But what this thing does really well, it is a very lightweight matte box system. It has a very functional way of actually swapping out your filters themselves without messing up the filters. And all in all, I have to say that it is a joy to have on my cinema camera. Now, I primarily shoot on the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, and when it is fully rigged out, it is heavy. But having a filter system like this that can easily be screwed onto the front of it is a great thing. Now, there are a couple things that I want to talk about with this filter in and of itself. One thing being that it doesn't have to just go on cinema lenses. As you can see here, I actually have this thing rigged out on a Canon EOS R and the 16 to 35 millimeter lens. This is a 82 millimeter thread adapter, and what this thing actually comes with are these really cool threads that you can actually put onto your lens itself. And then you have the ability to attach this matte box to it. This thing literally just screws onto your lens super easily, just like that. So you can screw it on, and you can pop it off. And then you just attach the actual base camp to it. It slides on just like that. And then you just screw it into place. So this thing here works out really, really well. Now, this thing is going to hold one of their slide-in filters and one of their circular filters. So right now, I actually have the variable ND filter on here. So there's a 2 to 5 stops, and I also have the circular polarizing filter in here. Now, the benefit of using them both at the exact same time is that when you actually turn the circular polarizer by doing this right here on the very top, that is actually what allows the variable ND filter to start working. So what this means is that no, you can't just use the variable ND slide in on its own. You do have to actually have the circular polarizer in there in order for the entire thing to work. But when you have them both, it works out really, really well. On the top of this guy here, you're also going to have this flag, and there's just like one little screw that actually holds it in place. And it pretty much can kind of either fold down flat, just like so, or you can actually tilt it back up to block out any extra light that's coming in and causing glare on your lens. Now, another really awesome thing about this thing is the actual travel case that it comes with. So not only do you get an actual travel case for the matte box itself, but you're also going to get these really nice pouches for the filters. So for example, I've got this filter here for my variable ND 2 to 5 stops, and I can easily just slide this guy out, drop it in, zip that shut, and then in here I have my variable 6 to 9 stops, and this is the one I typically use outside, but I can go ahead and grab this guy, pull it out. I can actually drop this into the system itself. So I really do like the pouches that it comes with. It makes it super easy to be portable and compact with this guy. Now, a couple things that I do want to mention with this overall system is that where, yes, this thing works out really well and everything that they designed for it to do, it does phenomenally well. This thing does have quite a few limitations. The first and the biggest one is the type of filters that it uses. As I mentioned before, this thing uses these Polar Pro slide in and out filters like this here. Now, they do have a couple different sets of variable ND filters. They also have just some standard stops of ND that you can purchase in case you don't like variable for whatever reason. But after that, or after you go through their filters, you really don't have any extra options. Because it actually uses this whole slide in system, you can't find other filters that work with this matte box system. Now, that wouldn't be such a big downside if Polar Pro actually had a lot more filters to actually go along with this. But this has been out for a couple months and we still haven't seen any new filters. Certain filters that you would expect to start to see, something like a black Pro Mist type filter or some other type of, aesthetically pleasing filters in the filmmaking industry, whether that's gradient filters or whatever, you really don't have those options with this system. Now, they do have another product called the Summit that's very similar to this, but from what I understand, the filters don't quite work exactly the same. The other thing I don't really like about this system is that nothing is marked to really tell you like what is the front and the back. And if you put these filters in the wrong direction, so like for example, this filter is in this way, if I just turn it and drop it in the exact same way, which it does fit in there, like it slides in without any problem, I'm actually gonna not get ND filters off of this thing. Like the variable on this won't work. On top of that, I'm gonna get some weird color shifting things going on. And that was one of the big problems that I initially had with it, was I was getting weird color shifts and the variable ND wasn't working. And it wasn't until I did some research, looked online, and eventually found it in their manual that it actually says like how to actually slide these guys in. I wish there was a little bit of better markings to tell you which was the right way to putting it in, because if you don't put it in right, you will have some issues. The other thing is that this thing isn't like super inexpensive. It's a little pricey, but in the professional filmmaking world, it's really not that expensive. But that doesn't seem to be who they're actually like targeting this product for. They seem to be targeting this towards content creators like myself and a lot of you guys out there. And for the price, I don't know if this system is perfect yet. Again, one of my big issues is the filter choices. On top of that, they don't have any third-party companies helping them to make other filters, at least that we know of as of now. So if you have any existing Tiffin filters that you really like, or any B&W, I think that's the name of the filter company, B&W filters that you like and that you would want to use with this system, you're not going to be able to do that. What I would love to see them do is to come out with some type of system like this here, where it's just the frame, and then you can buy external filters or third-party filters and actually attach them to the frame, so then you can slide them into this matte box system. If Polar Pro is able to pull off something like that, I really do think that this would take this thing up to something that I could really recommend for most filmmakers. I mean, as you guys can see right now, I do have this thing on a EOS R and the 16 to 35 millimeter lens. But honestly, if this was the system I was shooting with, I would not actually purchase this thing. The only reason why I picked up this guy was because I've been shooting a lot on my new Zine 50 millimeter cinema lens, and it is a huge diameter, and there's really no circular lenses that I can screw onto the front of it, which meant that I was going to have to go the matte box route. Now, I know there are a lot of different matte boxes out there very similar to this. I think Tilta has one, Cam TV might have one, and there's a couple other options out there, and I'm definitely interested to test out some more different alternatives to this setup. But at the moment, as it stands, if you are someone who's just a content creator and you're primarily shooting on a DSLR or mirrorless camera, honestly, I don't recommend this system. Even if you're someone who shoots on a cinema camera, but you're not using cinema lenses, I still don't think that this is going to be the best system for you. Now, if you are someone who is shooting on bigger cinema lenses and you are thinking about picking up this guy, well, in that situation, I think it works out really good because there's going to be very limited matte box selections out there. You know, when this thing first came out, I was really excited about it. And one of the creators who I saw who did a video on this was Jacob Owens. And he really talked about how he liked it. And he did talk about some of the downsides to it. But I'd really like to know if creators like him are actually still using this thing, because I know he has his own filter company. And I would like to buy some of his filters, but I can't even get his filters to work with this system. But thank you guys so much for checking out this video. If you thought it was interesting or helpful, give it a big thumbs up. Also, let me know what you guys think on this product. As I mentioned before, it's not perfect, but it is good in certain circumstances. So let me know if this is something that you guys are thinking about picking up, or if you found a better use case for it. I'd love to get any feedback from you guys down below in the comments. Thanks so much for checking out this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.